I'm super excited. I'm gonna make a fool of myself, as I usually do in an airplane.
6 Alpha Talkeetna Radio, roger, additional traffic. Cessna, I believe they are in the pattern over here at the State Field.
Denali is looking sweet this morning. We'll kind of analyze the water when we get here, but we'll assume the wind is relatively similar. But we do have a lot more terrain around here, so it could be rocking in a few different directions. Yeah, I'm totally going to look at lakes and stuff different now.
Wait on the flaps until you're around the turn, so now turn, and then you're right there, and then power's necessary. Oh, beautiful. That's going to be nice. Yep, that is it. Can't get better than that.
Gosh,
Denali.
look at Denali. That's just insane.
And that's up at 20,000 feet.
I'm Josh, a pilot and flight instructor who loves the sky, sharing it with those around me and using it to see the world from a new perspective. Flying can seem super complex, but I make it my mission to promote safe practices while enjoying the beauty this world has to offer. Subscribe to Climb Into the Cockpit on future adventures. This is Aviation 101.
0991 New Orleans, square to the Foley Airport via as-filed on departure, maintain 2,000 feet.
Alaska, known as the last frontier, has always lived in my mind as the greatest playground for those who pursue the great outdoors. The last time I was in Alaska was the summer of 2019, and in that time I met a now great friend Kevin, spent 3 weeks with Chris Palmer from Angle of Attack doing all sorts of flying and video work with some amazing people, then spent 4 days on his father-in-law's boat on Prince William Sound, which ended up being one of the most profound Alaskan experiences I flew home with. We're now in the summer of 2021, exactly 2 years later, and Chelsea and I are in the middle of a huge road trip across the western United States sponsored by Flight Outfitters and EAA. Our original plan was to tow this 17-foot camper all the way to Alaska and back to gather footage of our experiences, but Canadian border restrictions and complications swayed us to keep the camper in the lower 48 this time and catch a flight to Alaska instead. The main purpose for going back to Alaska this time is to finally complete my Seaplane training. In 2019, I took an introductory float lesson with Sarah at Alaska Floats and Skis, and plans to finish in 2020 were scrubbed because of COVID travel complications. Chelsea has also never been to Alaska, so since we're on this summer-long road trip together, it's a perfect time to get back up there and finish my Seaplane training while introducing her to this majestic place. That entire road trip will be its own full-length story, released this coming spring in conjunction with another contest run by Flight Outfitters and EAA. But while Chelsea and I were in Colorado camping and visiting friends, we left the Flight Outfitters camper behind and started our drive to the Denver airport to catch our flight to Alaska. And that is where this story begins.
We are headed to the airport in Denver to catch our flight to Anchorage, Alaska.
Probably gonna actually drop Chelsea off at the terminal first so we can unload our bags, and then I'm gonna drive back around, park the truck, and walk. We've got quite a bit of luggage. Most of it is my computer and camera equipment.
The entire production.
Because we're doing a bunch of filming up in Alaska, so I've got to take the whole studio with me. The next task today is to get through, get the truck parked, get through security, and board our plane to Anchorage, Alaska. We flew on a non-stop flight from Denver to Anchorage on Frontier Airlines, and it turns out this was Frontier's first flight back to Alaska in almost 10 years, so we were greeted with a water cannon salute when we got to Anchorage. We have been picked up by Kevin. My last journey in Alaska began with this guy as well. You picked me up.
That's right.
You picked me up from the airport last time.
I did.
Also,
You're right.
and I remember we were coming around the corner of this driveway right here, and I looked at your clock, and it said like 10:45 at night, and it looked kind of like this, and I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
What time? Like, your clock is correct, right? Sunset's at 11:30 p.m. tonight,
And
but
sunrise is 4:30 a.m.
sunrise is at 4:30. So we're at 6 p.m. right now, so not quite the same story, but there goes a beaver on floats.
So what's the plan? What do you want to do? Do you want to run by Lake Hood first?
Do you want to do Lake Hood first, or do you want to do it like on our way to dinner or after dinner? What do you?
Maybe we should do it after dinner.
Okay. I mean, how hungry are you guys?
I'm pretty hungry.
He's pretty hungry.
I'm expecting a wait.
Okay.
Down there. I tried to make reservations, but they've started closing Mondays and Tuesdays due to short staff.
Okay.
So, and I did not get a chance today.
Okay.
So.
Kevin took us to 49th State Brewing, and I had this phenomenal crab grilled cheese with a new apple pie beer they had. That goes in the books as one of the best tasting meals I've ever had. 2 years ago, my first contact with Alaska was Kevin and Chris introducing me to Lake Hood Seaplane Base, the busiest seaplane base in the world. We have to give Chelsea that same experience of driving around this hub of general aviation activity, so Lake Hood is our next stop.
Chelsea's already enjoying the Alaska state bird, the mosquito. They are all over the place. And this is great because we're here with Kevin. Are you filming me? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna film you filming me.
All
is
right,
that okay?
let's do that.
Chris isn't here with us tonight, but Lake Hood is where my Alaska series and my Alaska journey 2 years ago in 2019 began. And here we are after dinner. We're just hanging out at Lake Hood around a bunch of seaplanes. There's jets taking off and landing.
10 p.m.
Landing in the background.
Still daylight.
And Chelsea's having the exact reaction that I did 2 years ago. We can cut back right now to my exact words 2 years ago. Right now is it really 10:14?
Oh,
it's
yes.
10:14 at night, 22:14. It's daylight. It's 10:10 p.m. and there's the sun, and it's gonna just keep scooting along the horizon, and we're not gonna get a sunset for another hour and 23 minutes. This Alaska journey, once again, will begin right here at Lake Hood, busiest seaplane base in the world, Anchorage, Alaska.
The next day, we relaxed and hung out with Kevin until it was time to head back to Lake Hood in the afternoon, but this time to greet a familiar airplane bringing familiar faces.
With the goldfish in tow.
That's right.
How are you?
You gotta have the goldfish.
Chris Palmer from the YouTube channel and online ground school Angle of Attack is going to tag along with us to Talkeetna to support his buddies in getting their float ratings and help document the whole process on camera.
So how do you feel about this coming week and this weekend?
I am pumped for this weekend. It's gonna be rowdy and ridiculous and fun. I'm excited for you guys. I did my float rating last year, so now everyone else gets to do it.
In total, there are going to be 4 of us doing our seaplane training at the same time. Dave is a super experienced CFI that airlined in from North Carolina, and this is also his very first time in Alaska. Daniel, who's a local pilot and bear guide down in Homer, Alaska, and Kevin is joining in the training as well, a private pilot based right here in Anchorage. We all took the rest of the afternoon to hang around the Anchorage International Airport to watch airplanes do their thing.
Delivery, not DiGiorno. Better than DiGiorno.
After some takeout pizza by the seaplane base and watching the seaplanes come in and out of Lake Hood, we loaded all the cargo for our time at Alaska Floats and Skis. Chelsea and I are driving Kevin's Jeep, Dave is flying with Chris, and Daniel is flying with Kevin. From here, it's north to Talkeetna. The drive for us was about 2 hours, and the flight for the guys was about 45 minutes. Later on, Chris showed us some of their footage from the flight, and it looks like they had a slightly better view of the sunset than we did. While flying is a huge passion for us, there definitely is something to be said for traveling by the open road, rising and falling with the terrain, up close and intimate with its features. Despite making a fuel and grocery stop, Chelsea and I beat the guys to Alaska Floats and Skis and had the opportunity to unpack the Jeep, divvy up the luggage to everyone's rooms, and I drove over to the Talkeetna airport to rendezvous with the Skyhawk and Super Cub as their lights faded into view against the dusk sky. So gentlemen, how was the flight?
It was wonderful.
Nice, yeah. It's
Beautiful.
Okay, so the gentlemen have arrived, putting their bags in the Jeep. Kevin's Super Cub over here, and Chris's 172. Chris is over there doing exactly what I'm doing right now, talking to the camera.
Okay, we are in Talkeetna. It is 12:17 a.m. Not p.m. This is a.m.
They arrived here right about 5 minutes after midnight, and they thought they were out late. Here comes another airplane. Welcome to Talkeetna, Alaska. Chelsea and I already put all the equipment and bags in the lodge, and tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m., we start with the survival course, which is the beginning of the ground school for the Seaplane rating add-on. It's very late, we're all very tired, but it is still daylight. It's 12:15 in the morning, 0015 local time. We're gonna finish packing up the Jeep and head back over to the lodge and call it a night. Early ground school tomorrow. God, I love Alaska. Two years ago, I had my first seaplane lesson right here at Alaska Floats and Skis, and now we're back to finish what we started with even more friends along for the adventure this time. In the next episode, we start with an early morning survival course to highlight some of the key tools and skills needed in the event of a stranded or post-crash scenario. After that, Parker and I dive straight into our first ground lesson, followed by my first flight on floats since summer 2019, and I felt really good about how much of the lingo and techniques started to come back to me. But that doesn't mean my landings were good.
And then we just had a little bit of flare in there. See how we can't really see over the nose very well?
I also asked Parker if he had some time to give Chelsea the same epic float experience that I had in 2019, and she was not disappointed. All of that will be in the next episode of this series, along with so many amazing side adventures that are part of this Alaska story. If you like the video, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next episode. As always, I welcome your feedback in the comments below, and until next time, you know the drill. Stay happy, healthy, current, but most importantly, stay proficient. We'll see you in the next episode right here in Talkeetna, Alaska. Fly safe.